right, so just a few things to pass along at the top, and then we'll get right to your questions. Again, I want to thank Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Oh Yang for taking some time today to provide details on DoD's cyber strategy. So first, a quick update on Red Hill. Recently, the department notified Congress that defueling the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility in Oahu, Hawaii, will not adversely impact DoD's ability to support military operations in the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command Theater. The Defense Logistics Agency has taken actions to reposition fuel within the theater where it can better support U.S. Indo-PACOM fuel requirements. This notification was in accordance with the FY23 NDAA, which required the Secretary of Defense to notify congressional defense committees prior to the department beginning the defueling process. With notifications complete, Joint Task Force Red Hill is now scheduled to begin defueling the storage tanks on October 16. This achievement reflects the department's ongoing commitment to defuel and ultimately close the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility while upholding our responsibility to ensure the readiness of our armed forces. In other Indo-PACOM news, Acting Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Ms. Sasha Baker will depart today for meetings and engagements in Hawaii, the Republic of Korea, and Singapore. During her trip, she'll meet with leaders from Indo-PACOM and the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency. She'll co-chair the fourth meeting of the Extended Deterrence Strategy and Consultation Group with our Korean allies, and she'll co-chair the Strategic Security Policy Dialogue with her Singaporean counterpart. Secretary Baker's engagements will serve to reinforce the DoD's broader efforts to work with regional allies and partners to promote and ensure a safe, secure, and stable Indo-Pacific region. I would encourage you to visit defense.gov for updates on Secretary Baker's travel this week. Also taking place in the Pacific, Exercise Cartwheel 23 started today in Fiji. This is an annual multilateral exercise co-sponsored by the U.S. Army Pacific and the Republic of Fiji military forces. Approximately 150 personnel from the U.S. Army will participate in Nassori Highlands Training Area. At Nassori Highlands Training Area. Exercise Cartwheel includes maneuver exercises, humanitarian assistance and disaster response, and stability and support operations activities alongside the Republic of Fiji military forces and multinational partners from across the Oceania region. This exercise will strengthen alliances and partnerships while generating readiness for crisis and conflict response in support of a free and open Indo-Pacific. And finally, Secretary Austin and Deputy Secretary Hicks met with the Defense Policy Board today in a closed classified session. Both leaders briefed the board members on the current landscape of global security challenges and opportunities, sharing insights gleaned from their most recent travel to the Indo-Pacific region. The leaders thanked the board members for dedicating their time and expertise to provide independent and informed advice, opinions, and recommendations on matters concerning defense policy. And an unclassified readout from this month's policies board will be published on defense.gov. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions. We'll go first to AP, Lita Baldour.
Hi, Pat. Thank you. I was wondering if the department has any new assessment on the Russia-North Korea meeting that is either about to take place or is taking place, and if there is any new assessment on whether there's been any aid exchanged at all between the two countries. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Lita. I don't have any specific updates to provide other than, again, obviously, we know that a meeting is to take place. Our understanding is that this will focus on arms negotiations. And again, we would call on North Korea to meet its previous stated public commitments not to supply weapons to Russia, which will only end up prolonging the unnecessary war in Ukraine. Thank you. Go in the room here. Laura.
Thank you. Just wondering if you could tell us whether the U.S. plans to send additional cluster munitions to Ukraine.
Thanks, Laura. So in terms of security assistance for Ukraine, I don't have anything to announce today. Of course, when and if we do, we certainly will let you know. Thank you. Horn.
Just a quick follow-up on North Korea. Do you expect Kim Jong-un specifically to meet Vladimir Putin, or is that unclear whether that meeting will
Yeah, really, I'd have to refer you to the DPRK and the Russians for the details of the meeting. I'm just not going to have a readout to provide, sir.
Matthew Murray from the Asahi Shimbun. There have been reports and speculation that a Chinese nuclear-powered submarine may have crashed in the Taiwan Strait, killing everyone on board. Could the DoD comment on such reports?
I don't have any information on that. Thank you. Go to the phone here. Jeff Shogel, Task and Purpose.
Thank you. If Senator Tuberville doesn't lift his hold by October 1st, the Vice Chairman of the Chiefs of Staff will serve as acting chairman and vice chairman. Can you talk about what are some of the real world consequences of having one person fill that role in an acting capacity?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. So, there's many implications that you've heard us talk about. I mean, depending on the position, there could be certain authorities that can only be exercised by a Senate-confirmed leader. And of course, don't forget that the Department of Defense is a organization that operates literally 24/7 around the globe. So there's both operational reasons and personnel sustainment reasons why we have deputies and vice commanders to ensure that we can effectively cover down on the multiple foxholes that we're covering at any one time. For example, the vice chairman has several roles and responsibilities in his own right, including leading the Joint Requirements Oversight Council, representing the Military and National Security Council's deputies meetings, co-chairing the deputies management group, participating in the Joint Chiefs of Staff tank, as well as many other issues focused on oversight and coordination of interdepartmental groups. So if you add the duties of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that's a lot for one person to cover for an extended period of time. Again, this is something that we're going to stay focused on. Over the course of the summer, the Secretary and his legislative team have engaged with Senate leadership and senators on both sides of the aisle, to include Senators McConnell and Schumer. In addition, the department continues to engage Senator Tuberville's office and recently had a meeting with his staff on this topic. Now that the August recess is over, Secretary Austin continues to lean hard into this and plans to conduct additional calls with senators this week, and will continue to speak out and urge Senator Tuberville to lift his holds that are putting our readiness and our national security at risk. Thank you. All right, come back in the room. Yes, sir.
Thank you, General. General, I have two questions. The first one regarding to the Libya flood. Does the officials there ask the DoD for any kind of help, and does the DoD willing to assist Libya in this flooding that's, too many people are being dying?
Yeah, certainly a terrible situation in Libya. We have not been asked for any support from Libya. Of course, we'll continue to monitor the situation there.
Question. Yesterday, we heard from the State Department that Secretary Blinken will host his Chinese counterpart before the end of this year, maybe. So could we expect same thing happen here in DoD between Secretary Austin and his Chinese counterpart? And how do you describe the relations, military to military, between DoD and the Chinese? And does the communications channels still exist between two armies? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So as it pertains to a potential meeting, I don't have anything to announce. As you know, we have and continue to keep the offer on the table in terms of communicating between Secretary Austin and his counterpart. And for all the reasons that we've talked about, to try to ensure that we prevent any type of miscalculation, and militaries the size of ours have a responsibility to ensure those open lines of communication. But as it relates to doing that, of course, we will continue to make those efforts. From our perspective, there's nothing preventing that from happening. Now, to answer your other question, is there open channels of communication? Yes, at multiple levels. However, of course, we think that it's important to maintain communication at all levels, to include the highest levels of our militaries. Thank you very much. We go to Mike.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Pat. Let's stick with the Senator Tuberville issue for a second. Despite your football analogies and the chastisement from his fellow Republicans like Representative McCall from Texas, Senator Tuberville doesn't look like he's going to budge as early. I mean, he said that like today, I think. My question is this: so what's more important to the Secretary, getting these generals and admirals confirmed or or subsidizing elective abortions for the troops.
Yeah, so we're not subsidizing abortions, just to be clear on that. What we're doing is we're providing equitable reproductive health care for all of our service members. The department does not pay for abortions. We don't pay for in vitro. What this is doing is facilitating access, which a service member would have had previously, since it was they could live in a state that they could receive those services that they pay for on their own. But again, if you are now assigned to a state where those types of services are not available, we're not going to pay for those services, but what we will do is we will, just like we would if you were stationed overseas, get you to a place where you can then pay for those services. And again, this goes back to ensuring that there is equitable health care for these federal service members across the board. So does that answer your question?
No. I mean, what's more important? I mean, however you describe it.
What's most important? Yeah. What's most important for the Secretary of Defense?
Have to make a choice at some point.
The Senator?
The Secretary.
Well, what's most important to the Secretary of Defense of the United States of America is ensuring that the United States military can protect and defend this nation. And that means having service members that receive the training, the equipment, the health care, and all the services that are required in maintaining an operationally ready force. And what we don't want is a force of haves and have-nots, where some people are going to have access and some people are not by virtue of where the military assigned them. Period. Dot. All right. Let's see. We'll go to any other questions here. We'll go back out to the phone. All right. Let's go to Georgina, Inside Defense. Chris? Did we lose the phone? Okay. Any other questions here in the room? All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Appreciate it.